Today we do a road test with a 5th generation 2013 Ford Mustang GT. And the topic is a Mustang ready for German Autobahn and some curvy mountain roads. So of course you can buy a lot of different Mustangs. We don't talk about the 6-cylinders and we don't talk about the supercars like the GT500 and the Boss 302. So if you don't have the money for the GT500 or the Boss 302, the Mustang GT may be the next best thing. This is actually one of my own cars. I have it for 3 years now, and my idea was to make it exactly what I said, a car which is good for the German Autobahn and for some country roads and mountain roads. Because all three of them, we have a lot of them here in Bavaria, Germany. I did look for the car for almost a year because the 5th generation Mustang was never officially sold in Germany. So the only cars we can find here are imported cars by either very tiny little companies or private persons. So we really don't have many of them around here. And I wanted to have one with at least the Brembo brake package or even better the track pack. So this is a premium model and it also has the track pack, which is great because the track pack helps you so that you do not have to change so many things in this car to make it ready for my personal daily use and for a little fun driving. So when you get a track pack car, you get the radiator and the oil cooler from the Boss 302. It also has a 3.73 gear ratio with the Torsen rear differential. It has a Brembo brake package, which I think was from the 2011-12 GT500. It has those wheels and summer-only high-performance tires. And this is all over for about $3,000. It's a great pricing. And if you find a car and if you want to drive a 5th generation Mustang, a little sporty, then I just can tell you, buy you one with the track pack. This saves you a whole lot of work and money afterwards. I'll tell you about the cooling a little afterwards when we are on the Autobahn. The Brembo brake package is good. I never had any trouble with it. I think if I would go on racetracks on regular basis with the car, maybe I should change it a little bit, but for me it's good. The alloys are okay, and the only real bad thing on the car was the summer performance tires. If you go on the German Autobahn with this kind of tires, it's super scary, and the only temperature when they have been good was like 30-something degrees centigrade. If it was cooler, if it was wet, it was really a very strange feeling. So I changed the tires. I put Firestone Roadhogs on it this year, and I'm quite happy so far. First time I can drive the car during rain, which is great. If you buy one of those cars, I really admit check your tires, especially if you want to go fast and if you're not 100% sure. Like I was, it's really not the car, it's not the solid rear axle. One of the biggest problems when I got the car were the tires. So that's pretty easy to change. And if you got a little bit of an unsafe feeling, do it before you change anything else. So when we talk about power, I mean, that's a 400 plus horsepower sports car. By the beginning of the 2000 years, these were like Ferraris who had 400 plus horsepower. This car had an original price from $39,000 US. So of course, if you get a 400 something horsepower sports car for $39,000 US, there are some parts in it which are kind of cheap, and you need to know that when you buy the car. And you also need to know that there are probably some things you need to change afterwards to make it a good track and fun car. We're going to the Autobahn for a little moment. So see what we got. A lot of traffic. This is the difference between German Autobahn reality and German Autobahn in some stories, because German Autobahn is always packed. But here we have a chance to accelerate. We are going about almost 200 kilometers an hour now. The first thing you may think if you go on a longer streak on the Autobahn, if you go like high speed for a long time, is the cooling. Some people may forget about that, but the cooling is very important. Otherwise you will wreck your car pretty quick. This one already came with a Boss 302 radiator and the oil cooler, and I've never ever had any trouble with it. Not on the Autobahn and not on some inspired mountain driving, let's put it this way. So I'm pretty happy with the cooling of the car, which comes of course with the track pack. I think it should be good. So the Boss was made for the racetrack. I don't know how many racetrack rounds it will be good for, but I think for daily use it's pretty much okay. As you may see, we have a lot of trucks out here, and I think we'll leave the Autobahn pretty quick again. The thing is, if you drive on the Autobahn and you drive 200 kilometers an hour or faster, you should really think about your car if everything is okay. Do you have good tires? Do you have good brakes? If you go 200, 250, or maybe you even have a faster car, you go 300. If you ever drove 300 or something like that on the German Autobahn, it's kind of scary. The streets really get very narrow, and if your car does have any little small fault, that's it for you and everybody else. So we're leaving the Autobahn now. Go back to some more comfortable country roads to see how the car will behave in the curves. Everybody knows the Mustang GT can be fast in any configuration whatsoever. I mean, 400 plus horsepower should be fast, but we see how the car will handle in the mountains. If you go on a hill climb like this here, or if you want to use your Mustang for hill climbs like that, you should definitely change your suspension. So I did decide for a STX coilover kit, and I added also a strut brace in the front. And since then the car behaves way better on those kind of roads here. We already talked about the cooling on the Autobahn. This is also very important here. And well, this is way more fun if you have a 6-gear manual straight shift. In addition to the STX suspension, I added a Ford Racing strut bar in the front, and we have a Ford Racing short shifter right here. If you think about adding some power, well, this car here comes with 430 horsepower. Actually, I really think 430 horsepower is enough for me, and it's really kind of enough for this car. Well, the first thing you might notice if you buy your first Mustang, most Mustangs just make a ton of funny noises. I don't know why. Every Mustang has his little differences. Talking about differences, this one always dings at the rear end differential, but well, that's it. You can also switch your steering to sport with the board computer right here. One thing I'm wondering about is the question about the high speed, especially in Germany where you can go on the Autobahn. There is always the question, how fast is your car going? Well, the problem is that most German sports cars go at least 250 kilometers an hour. And the Mustang here, I don't know about that. If you trust the car, it would go almost 260, like here. But I don't think so. I think it's more like 240 kilometers an hour, which is not really that fast. I mean, you don't have much space on the Autobahns anyway anymore, so you don't need it very often. But then, of course, it's kind of aggravating when you drive on the left lane and there comes a little bitty Volkswagen Golf GTI and he pushes you from the left lane. So some people may think, I would like to change that. You can do that with one of those handheld tuners, of course, but I don't know. I think I wouldn't recommend this. I don't like to play around with the electronics of the car, and I don't need it that often. So, and from my opinion, before you start messing around with the horsepower of your car, think about your brakes, think about your suspension, think about your cooling, and then you may think about the power. And I think the car is a good package now. It's a good package of handling and power. We just did do a road test with the Shelby GT500, and I mean, it's ridiculous fast, but this car feels good. It feels like it's supposed to be the way it is. Thanks for following us on our little road trip through beautiful Bavaria. To make it a short summary, if you want to have a 5th generation Mustang and you want to drive it quite fast on something like the German Autobahn, if you want to drive curvy mountain roads, country roads, whatsoever, you want to drive the Mustang like you saw it in the movies sometimes, you buy yourself a GT, you add the Brembo pack. Even better, you add the track pack if you can find one of the track pack cars. I also invested about 3,000 to 4,000 euro into this one, and now it performs pretty good for this purpose. I mean, it's not a perfect racetrack car, but it's a perfect car for a nice Sunday ride, for a ton of fun. With this in mind, just have a great day, greetings from Bavaria, and see you next time.